Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. Wuxin God King's sword suddenly split into 12 swords, forming a sword array, and attacked the stone monster leader and 3 other formidable stone monsters simultaneously. Emperor Gui Shu and Wuxin God King worked together seamlessly. Seeing his friend deploy the sword array, he also burst forth entirely, his primordial bloodline fully unleashed, spreading surging crimson flames. Ignoring the extreme burst of power that damaged his physical body, Emperor Gui Shu also used one of his 2 ultimate realm secret techniques, Heaven and Earth Great Destruction. Boom boom boom! Emperor Gui Shu, with 8 arms wielding 8 weapons, twisted heaven and earth. With the first strike, he wielded a massive hammer, cracking the colossal stone monster's body. The third strike was a black axe, which cleaved the stone monster's body in 2 with a painful wail. In the blink of an eye, a series of earth-shattering moves returned all things to chaos, turning that stone monster into a stream of chaotic energy. This scene astonished the other stone monsters. Emperor Gui Shu's explosion is truly fierce, Luo Feng murmured to himself. That stone monster was comparable in strength to the Emperor of Qian Kuan. Its tough body was not inferior to the Emperor of Qian Kuan's primordial bloodline, yet it was blasted into bits after more than 10 hits. Beautiful, exclaimed Wuxin God King with delight. Gui Shu, quickly eliminate those lesser stone monsters. I'll handle these 3 formidable ones. Now merely entangling the stone monster leader and 2 other formidable stone monsters, Wuxin God King's burden was significantly lightened. His sword array was fully capable. Roar tilde tilde. The stone monster leader roared angrily, and the other 2 formidable stone monsters also attacked furiously. The sword array of Wuxin God King was incredibly robust, trapping the 3 like a cage, allowing them to watch helplessly as Emperor Gui Shu, fully bursting forth, moved to slaughter the entangled stone monsters. Those over 300 stone monsters were being entangled by more than 300 Luo Feng's avatars. Boom, boom, boom. Where Emperor Gui Shu passed, those stone monsters with the strength of second realm of Godly King differed in power. The stronger ones required 3 or 4 moves to kill. The weaker ones might be smashed into pieces with 1 hammer blow. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 stone monsters were dead. The entire group of stone monsters started to stir. Although their intelligence was low, they could feel anger, fear, and attachment to their peers. Converge, the furious stone monster leader roared, his voice carrying his will. Previously, this group of dream realm creatures had sought to trap Luo Feng and prevent their escape. But now, at the leader's command, they no longer dispersed but began to converge actively. The stone monster leader, with his 2 powerful subordinates, also actively moved to converge with the others. Booming sounds echoed tilde tilde tilde. More than 300 avatars of Luo Feng could only entangle, not trap the enemy. As these stone monsters continued to converge, they naturally began to merge. They can merge into one, said Emperor Gui Shu. Wuxin God King laughed, they've given up surrounding us. Once merged into one, while seemingly more robust, they became a single entity. A clumsy entity, even with terrifying might, still couldn't stop the reincarnation tower team from escaping. Booming sounds tilde tilde with the stone monster leader also converging with his kind and merging into it, the superlarge stone monster formed was immensely huge. Retreat. Luo Feng and his team were not afraid at all. With the escape techniques of Wuxin God King at the ultimate realm level, both the agility and speed of their flight were significantly superior to the superlarge stone monster, quickly losing it and fleeing far away. Roar tilde tilde tilde. The superlarge stone monster stood there, roaring angrily and reluctantly, chasing for a few hundred steps, but Wuxin God King had already escaped from the influence of the dream realm creature's domain, completely disappearing. They actually let them escape. From a distance, members of the 2 realms palace felt somewhat regretful. Although the members of the reincarnation tower are strong, if surrounded by nearly 100 second realm god kings, they would probably have died in large numbers this time, said a winged woman, shaking her head. But this time there was one who was skilled in using avatars. Being able to simultaneously control hundreds of avatars, entangling 89 second realm dream realm creatures. Although it's just entangling, it's still quite remarkable. Land of origin, another troublesome being has risen. Observers from various parties watched. They all were second realm overlords, but they also understood that even within the second realm, differences were substantial. Like the boatmaster of the time-space lonely boat, who cultivated only one great Tao, the time primordial Tao, he was the highest achiever in this path across the entire land of origin. Even at the peak of the second realm of Godly King, he walked different timelines, with 3 versions of himself. Even the emperors and monarchs of the land of origin found him a headache. Emperors and monarchs, even with ultimate realm life forms, could only interact with his present body, unable to threaten the time-space lonely boat's past body and future body. Like Wuxin God King, who never died a single time in his true body in his countless years of cultivation, except for that one time he willingly went to die through reincarnation, whether it was being surrounded by emperors or the dangers in various treasured land. Such second-realm beings are naturally much stronger than those like the Emperor of Tien Kuan or the Monarch of Yu Country. He can entangle so many dream realm creatures because they are low in intelligence and simple in techniques. If he encounters God Kings, their moves are much more sophisticated, and he would find it tough to even entangle one. It would require a lot of effort. Even so, entangling 7 or 8 God Kings in the second realm would probably not be difficult. His real identity, I wonder which old fellow it is. Everyone concealed their aura and altered their appearance. They naturally suspected Luo Feng was an old figure in reality. Probably some peak existence in the second realm of Godly King. The team from Reincarnation Tower had never seen him before. It looks like they have another member now, they said. Although the white-haired palace master was surprised that Reincarnation Tower had an additional formidable member, he wasn't too concerned. In the land of origin, there were many more troublesome than Luo Feng, like Wind City Empress and Earth God King. If someone of their caliber were to appear, that would truly shake the entire land of origin. Let's go. There's no need to stay in this dream realm space any longer. Let's move to the next one, the white-haired palace master said. Let's go. The team from Two Realms Palace quietly left that space and headed towards the next dream realm space. Under the leadership of Wuxin God King, Luo Feng and the others quickly escaped from the pursuit of a gigantic stone monster. Haha, we all survived, Emperor Gui Shu laughed. Thanks to Brother Luo He, Wuxin God King looked at Luo Feng. Brother Luo He, your clone technique has been cultivated to an unimaginable level. There aren't many in the entire land of origin who can compare to you. Luo Feng smiled. There are still many. Emperors and monarchs who excel in cloning outnumber the fingers on one hand. I just have this technique going for me, Luo Feng said. I'm much worse in other areas. The previously agreed share distribution doesn't seem suitable now, Emperor Gui Shu said. Brother Luo He not only scouts for dangers and treasures. When facing strong enemies, he can also help intercept many foes. In that case, Gui Shu and I will each give half of our share to Brother Luo He, Wuxin God King said. That way, Gui Shu, I, and Brother Luo He each have 30%. With Luo his powerful avatar, I actually benefit, Cloud Sky God King laughed. While her share percentage seemed unchanged, the team's overall strength was stronger, and they found more treasures, hence her share was naturally larger. She was self-aware that with her contributions, having 10% was already quite generous. I won't decline then, Luo Feng was straightforward. That's the spirit, Emperor Gui Shu said. This time we were outsmarted by that winged woman, whose real identity I don't know, but I've encountered her several times in these treasure lands. She's a member of the Two Realms Palace. Two Realms Palace has calculated against us again. Wuxin God King was also quite annoyed. I just tried to track them too, but they're very good at hiding their traces, and I couldn't detect any sign. In terms of tracking enemy trails, Wuxin God King is likewise extremely strong. The teams from Two Realms Palace generally have a Palace Master's avatar leading them, Emperor Gui Shu said. The Palace Master of Two Realms Palace, after all, belongs to an alien race, with a realm comparable to that of the ancestors of two countries. If he intends to hide, none of us can find him. At this moment, Luo Feng also understood why the two ancient countries were specifically targeting Two Realms Palace, Wanfa Tower, and Timespace Lonely Boat. With these three major alien forces, numerously divided into teams and led by alien race powerhouses avatars to fight for fortunes, their perceptive and competitive strength in targeting top-tier treasures was much stronger than that of Reincarnation Tower. "We'll find an opportunity later," Wuxin God King said. "Brother Luo He, conflicts among different forces are a common occurrence. You will witness even more in the future," Emperor Gui Shu smiled. Luo Feng nodded. "We should also leave this dream realm space. 2 palaces have searched here as well, so the easily found treasures are probably scarce now." "Okay. Let's head to the next dream realm space." The team from Reincarnation Tower quickly left and continued to search another dream realm space. Inside this mountain forest space, Luo Feng left a world life form avatar here. This one held 1,000th of the energy reserves and would naturally absorb energy slowly and grow over time. This mountain forest space, previously explored by Reincarnation Tower and Two Realms Palace, holds few treasures. "I expect it'll be quite peaceful for a while." Luo Feng sat cross-legged on a patch of grass. Dream realm creatures are usually in fixed territories. Only in very rare cases do they leave their territories. "I'll try practicing the Great Destruction heart refining technique here." Luo Feng didn't rush to cultivate in the deeper spaces of the dream realm, as he still needed to accompany his companions to hunt for treasures, and the deep dream realm spaces placed too much strain on spiritual will, potentially affecting his combat performance. The middle layers of the dream realm's mountain forest space were more suitable. Boom tilde tilde tilde. Upon initiating the Great Destruction heart refining technique, it immediately transformed into a dark chaotic hole that enveloped the spiritual will, constantly squeezing, crushing, strangling, and annihilating the spiritual will. The illusions of the middle dream realm also continuously infiltrated Luo Feng's mind. The increasingly adverse environment naturally provided a more distinct tempering of the spiritual will. The slight stray thoughts influenced by the environment, losing stability, were naturally crushed and annihilated by the dark chaotic hole, making Luo Feng's spiritual will even purer. Cultivating the spirit is an everlasting endeavor. Luo Feng understood this. Because as time passes, new stray thoughts emerge. Constant self-tempering is the only way to make progress. If one stops moving forward, it might even lead to regression. This is also why some powerhouses in Thunder Ancient Country lose control halfway. They might suppress the residual wills in their bloodlines for a while, but as soon as stray thoughts arise and the mind wavers slightly, the residual wills can rebound and cause them to lose control. The environment of the dream realm is quite suitable for the Great Destruction heart refining technique. Luo Feng calmly continued his cultivation, his other avatars accompanying Emperor Gui Shu and the others in their treasure hunt. In the middle space of the dream realm, although there were occasionally some terrifying dream realm creatures that even Luo Feng could not detect, when treasure hunting and being attacked by these creatures, with the strength of their team, they were still able to jointly respond. This team was incredibly powerful, with Emperor Gui Shu being domineering and the abilities of Wuxin God King being numerous. The two of them were already a strong combination, and now with the addition of Luo Feng, who had many avatars and was very good at entangling the enemy, the team's ability to handle risks had greatly increased. "Ha ha ha, with Brother Luo He here, our exploration of the dream realm is much safer," Emperor Gui Shu said with a grin. That ultimate realm creature that was just now frantically chasing the other team members, in reality, those members were all transformations of Brother Luo He, laughed Wuxin God King. Cloud Sky God King also felt much more at ease. In the past, exploring the dream realm was terrifying and much more dangerous. Having one more powerful companion in the team made all the difference. "I only have these avatar techniques," Luo Feng said with a smile. They sat by a stream, drinking and chatting, waiting for the results of Luo Feng's avatars scouting ahead. Suddenly, Luo Feng and the others looked towards the distance, where a team was fleeing at an extremely high speed. The team consisted of 9 figures, with the leader being a cloaked figure, having 3 faces, one at the front and one on each side, each face scrutinizing the surroundings. Wanfa Tower, Emperor Gui Shu, Wuxin God King, and Cloud Sky God King all tensed up, the smiles vanishing from their faces. Luo Feng also saw the cloaked figure within that team. "Is that the Wanfa Tower Master?" Luo Feng had not had any dealings with the Wanfa Tower Master and felt no fear, but he had also collected detailed intelligence on this Wanfa Tower Master. The founders behind the three major alien race forces, Two Realms Palace, Wanfa Tower, and Timespace Lonely Boat, all had different approaches. The Two Realms Palace Master acted domineeringly and was the most aggressive, with Two Realms Palace also having the greatest momentum. The Timespace Demon from the Timespace Lonely Boat was extremely low-profile, ruthless, and vicious in his actions, and even the two ancient countries feared this Timespace Demon the most. The Master of Wanfa Tower, it is said, mastered all techniques. Even if his abilities were restricted to the upper limit of the primal chaos realm, an uncountable number of secret techniques could transform the quality of the team under his command, making them the most difficult opponent to deal with. In the Treasures realm, the most difficult to face head-on is the team led by the Wanfa Tower Master, said Emperor Gui Shu with some pressure, communicating telepathically. Let's quickly leave this dream realm space and stay far away from them. Right, let's hurry and go, the farther from them, the better. Wuxin God King also felt uneasy. Luo Feng inwardly sighed. Wanfa Tower Master. Even with his powerful abilities suppressed, just by leading a team, he still made beings at the peak of the second level of God King realm like Emperor Gui Shu and Wuxin God King feel wary and even afraid. How terrifying would it be if his true body could descend? It's no wonder that on the land of origin, it is rumored that the true bodies of these three alien races are not inferior to the ancestors of the two countries. The Wanfa Tower Master leading his team spotted Luo Feng and his four companions from afar. It's the team from Reincarnation Tower, and compared to the past, they have one additional member with black scales and golden horns. All three faces of the Wanfa Tower Master scrutinized the Reincarnation Tower team. In an instant, he observed from many aspects, studying, and recorded a lot of information. I have locked onto them. If they continue to stay in this dream realm space, we can look for an opportunity to deal with them, instructed the Wanfa Tower Master telepathically. Yes, Master, the 8 members behind him replied, 6 of whom were at the second realm of God King, while 2 were also invincible at the first realm of God King. They were a combination team handpicked by the Wanfa Tower Master. Following the secret techniques passed on by the Wanfa Tower Master, the 8 members working together could bring a qualitative change to the overall strength of the team. The members of Wanfa Tower greatly admired their master. Because he would often give them guidance in cultivation, he could be considered half a master. Phew. The distant Reincarnation Tower team quickly left, and in just a moment, they were out of that dream realm space. They've left this dream realm space. The Wanfa Tower Master shook his head, too cautious. The dream realm contained an enormous number of spaces. Each space was independent, and once the Reincarnation Tower left that space, even the Wanfa Tower Master would have difficulty continuing to lock onto them. They are afraid of the Master. Master, there is no need to mind that Reincarnation Tower. One God King at the second realm directly called him Master. Indeed, within the internal members, the Wanfa Tower Master had taken on 15 direct disciples. In terms of teaching ability, he was even above the ancestors of the two countries and also above the alien races behind Two Realms Palace and Timespace Lonely Boat. The internal unity of Wanfa Tower had a great relationship with the Master's willingness to teach the internal members. Luo Feng's team quickly left that dream realm space. Every time I meet the Wanfa Tower Master, I feel anxious, Wuxin God King couldn't help saying. I feel like none of my techniques are secret from him. Although his own strength is suppressed by the supreme rules, he is able to make his team exhibit overwhelming strength. Emperor Gui Shu shook his head. I've died at the hands of Wanfa Tower's team 3 times already. Died that many times? Luo Feng was surprised. Emperor Gui Shu nodded. Wanfa Tower's team works together perfectly. During combat, it's as if they've calculated all our countermoves. No matter how we resist or struggle, it's hard to escape. I also have to rely on the boundary-breaking escape technique every time I escape, but when I use the boundary-breaking escape technique, I can't take any creatures with me. Wuxin God King shook his head. The boundary-breaking escape technique of Brother Witch Heart can instantly appear anywhere in the land of origin. It can even leave the source world. Theoretically, it holds the promise of reaching another source world, Emperor Gui Shu said. But I can't go. Wuxin God King shook his head. I need precise coordinates to have a chance of reaching another source world. Beyond the braided cage world, even I would get lost. So at most, I dash out, take a tour, and then return to the source world. Amazing, Luo Feng exclaimed. Brother Witch Heart, you can actually fly and escape outside the braided cage world. When it comes to escape skills, Witch Heart truly is among the best in the land of origin, Emperor Gui Shu laughed. What does it feel like to fly and escape outside the braided cage world? Luo Feng was curious. Very dangerous. Wuxin God King said, outside the braided cage world lies the endless primordial space, filled with infinite primordial force. Once we are corroded by the primordial force, we creatures inside the cage can quickly be eroded into nothingness and die completely. In the end, we are still creatures inside the cage, while the real primordial lives can live comfortably in the primordial space, Wuxin God King said. Luo Feng understood. Cloud Sky God King often participated in teams and was very familiar with the means of Gui Shu and Witch Heart. Emperor Gui Shu said, we have run into teams from Two Realms Palace, and teams from Wanfa Tower, and this time, we have also explored 5 dream realm spaces, so we can leave now. Greed is bad, Wuxin God King also nodded. The more dream realm spaces they explored, the more likely they could take a big fall one day. I agree, Luo Feng nodded. He had many avatars that had long been left in various dream realm spaces. He could take root here entirely. Let's hurry and go. I get a bit scared just seeing the Wanfa Tower Master, Cloud Sky God King also said. Let's go. And just like when they came, under Wuxin God King's hidden heaven escape technique, the entire team quietly returned and carefully passed through the dream realm entrance area, blocked by 2 ancient countries, finally making it back to the normal world of the land of origin. Phew. In the blink of an eye, the entire team crossed the vast distance from the Dream Realm entrance to Huang Yarrow Mountain. Inside Huang Yarrow Mountain, the 4 of them, including Luo Feng, finally relaxed completely. Ha, this exploration of the Dream Domain went very smoothly. Although we were sabotaged by the Two Realms Palace and also attacked by powerful Dream Realm creatures, it was much easier with little brother Luo He, Emperor Gui Shu laughed. Now let's distribute the treasures, Wuxin God King also said. Luo Feng and Cloud Sky God King's eyes shone. The treasures we took from the Dream Domain are well known to everyone. Together they are worth about 280 million merit points, Wuxin God King said. Sister Yun Tian will take 28 million merit point. The rest of us will each take 84 million merit points. Luo Feng also felt excited. Treasures worth over 80 million merit points. Entering coveted areas like infinite space, even for guest elders to exchange in the 2 great ancient countries, it would cost 50 million merit points. This income was something ordinary creatures at the first realm of Godly King could not amass in a lifetime. People like Emperor Tian Kuan, who were at that level, their gains from raiding treasure areas were generally much less than Emperor Gui Shu's and Wuxin God King's tier. Yet Luo Feng's gain was equal to theirs. Clearly, the hundreds of avatars simultaneously restraining the entire Dream Realm creature tribes had impressed Gui Shu and Witch Heart, who acknowledged Luo Feng's contributions as no less than their own. Good, everything has been distributed. Wuxin God King quickly allocated the treasures, handing them over to the 3 companions. Luo Feng also received a spatial storage bag filled with many rare treasures, all uniquely fostered by the special environment of the Dream Domain, and invaluable. However, Luo Feng did not cultivate the primordial bloodline, so most were useless to him. Do you know the detailed information about the treasures of the Dream Domain, Brother Luo He? Wuxin God King asked. Knowing their detailed value allows us to use them better and to sell them to other godly kings. I know, Luo Feng nodded. His master, Emperor Chu, had given him that information earlier. By the way, does anyone have 5-colored treasure medicine? The 5-colored treasure medicine was reportedly concocted from the heart of a sector beast which surpassed the godly king level, sold exclusively by the 2 ancient country. Upon taking it, one's affinity with the great Tao of destruction origin could be significantly enhanced as if the Tao itself favored them. With this treasured medicine, cultivating the great Tao of destruction origin would be much smoother. The higher one's achievement in this area, the more effective the great destruction heart refining technique could be. But a dose of the medicine cost 10 million merit points, a staggeringly high price. Over the long years, many doses of the five-colored treasure medicine had been acquired by various Kuching god kings. None here, Gui Shu, Witch Heart, and Cloud Sky god king all shook their heads. Five-colored treasure medicine is rare. While some Kuching god kings have exchanged for it, most have used it up long ago, Wuxin god king said. You can ask your master, he is an emperor after all. Luo Feng nodded. Now that this mission is over, let's disband, Emperor Gui Shu laughed. Let's gather for the next mission. All right. Until we meet again. Luo Feng and the others all replied with smiles, all very pleased with their haul. For Luo Feng, venturing out once and gaining treasures worth tens of millions of merit points was a significant boost to his cultivation journey. Naturally, he was willing to participate in some of the upcoming actions. Phew. Soon after, the four of them quietly dispersed and left Huangyaro Mountain, each returning to their respective places. Next part 100. Flame Wind Ancient Country, Chu Capital. Finally, I'm not poor anymore. Luo Feng stood inside the guest elder cave mansion, in quite a good mood. Before exploring the dream domain, he was indeed a bit poor. A guest elder has very few merit points, and as for cosmic sand, the value of cosmic sand is too low. The 300 billion units of cosmic sand used for the Desert Wind City Lord to redeem himself in the Thunder Ancient Country's transcendence of primal chaos realm only equates to 1 million merit point. In the treasure trove infinite space, the tens of thousands of reward points are indeed precious, but Luo Feng is saving these points to exchange for the God King Second Realm section of the special grade inheritance. After all, although resources are important, a special grade inheritance is even more critical. It's very difficult to obtain reward points in infinite space, and each expenditure must be considered even more carefully. Over 80 million merit points is enough for me to be extravagant. Luo Feng immediately left the cave mansion and went directly to the palace of Emperor Chu to meet his master. Inside the palace of Emperor Chu was deeply immersed in his cultivation. A dark and colossal phantom appeared, emanating an endless aura of destruction. The complete great Tao of destruction origin, trying to fully comprehend it is truly too difficult. Emperor Chu opened his eyes. He had experienced too long a torment and always felt he was only a little bit away, but that little bit forever blocked his path. Unlike those who practiced the primordial bloodline, Emperor Chu, using treasures to cultivate into an ultimate realm life form, was not influenced by bloodline will and could maintain absolute clarity to comprehend the Tao. To date, I've realized 5 ultimate realm secret techniques and my accumulation is profound enough, cogitated Emperor Chu. Among the emperors, I can rank within the top 5. Yet I cannot break through. Only by mastering the complete Tao can I continue to stay on the land of origin in the next era. Emperor Chu understood this point. The threshold for leaving the land of origin is to become an ultimate realm life form. Even if the land of origin undergoes destruction, they can continue to live in the outer realms. But leaving the land of origin, without the protection of the home source world, the living conditions would be harsher by 1,000 to 10,000 times. The environment for the ancestors of the two countries outside is just such a perilous and severe one. Only staying on the land of origin, to withstand the destruction and rebirth of the land of origin, would then be recognized by the supreme rules of the land of origin as a native life of the new era. But to withstand the entire process of destruction and rebirth of the source world, one must realize a complete Tao. Thus, in the last era, only the East Extreme Domain ancestor and the two countries' ancestors, these three survived into this era. Those who relied on external forces to cultivate into ultimate realm life forms are still alive in part but have long left the land of origin. The protection of the home source world is very important. I must comprehend a complete Tao. Emperor Chu also had ambitions. The godly kings of the royal family in the two ancient countries all have desires. Their first step is to become emperors and monarchs. On one hand, they have the qualifications to leave the land of origin and can live a long time. On the other hand, their strength and status increase, gaining more resources. The second step is to master the complete Tao. In this era of the two ancient countries, only Emperor Qing has achieved this. Di Fu, not hesitating to be reborn and giving up the cultivation of the primordial bloodline, aimed to achieve this goal. Chem. Emperor Chu looked outside. His disciple Luo Feng had already arrived at the entrance of the hall. "Master," Luo Feng greeted respectfully from outside. "Come in," Emperor Chu smiled, very satisfied with Luo Feng as a disciple. Already possessing achievements that surpass history in the first realm of Godly King, he looked forward to his disciple's future accomplishments. If the disciple is powerful, he might also be able to help his master. Luo Feng immediately stepped into the grand hall. "I heard you've recently established a sect, Blade River Sect," Emperor Chu said with a smile. "It gives ordinary cultivators more cultivation opportunities," said Luo Feng. He indeed didn't care much at his level. Even if the sect was powerful, what benefit would it bring to him? Even if it was incredibly significant and cultivated 3 or 5 godly kings, how would it matter? Luo Feng himself could easily create hundreds of powerful avatars. The path of cultivation is such, the stronger your power, the less significant the number of the weak becomes. "Master, I came today to inquire if there's a way to purchase the 5-colored treasure medicine," Luo Feng said. 5-colored treasure medicine? Emperor Chu's eyes lit up and he smiled. "I've used this 5-colored treasure medicine before, the effects are excellent. A portion of 5-colored treasure medicine is valued at 10 million merit points. Can you afford it now?" The disciple's time in cultivation is quite short to have accumulated such wealth. "There are not many merit points from being a guest elder," Luo Feng said, "but by chance, I did obtain some treasures that could be exchanged." "No big deal, I can buy it for you," Emperor Chu said, "but the imperial clan has its rules. When the royal family exchanges for treasures, they must use them on themselves. If exchanged and traded with the outside world, the exchange price and the guest elder's exchange price are the same, and this is also to prevent the god kings of the royal family from emptying the treasure trove." Luo Feng nodded. As long as there's a price difference, the god kings of the royal family acting as traders could make a huge profit. Obviously, the 2 ancient countries had long closed this possibility. "The 5-colored treasure medicine is scarce. I can help you buy at most 2 portions, Emperor Chu said. "Each portion is also 10 million merit points." "Thank you, Master," Luo Feng rejoiced. The 5-colored treasure medicine, such a level of treasure, a guest elder could exchange for it only once in their lifetime, and even that required sufficient contributions. As an emperor, Emperor Chu could now buy at most 2 portions. If Luo Feng were outside, the price he feared would be much greater. This 5-colored treasure medicine was crafted from the heart of a sector beast beyond Godly King level, combined with other materials. Once consumed, it's as if it becomes a part of the great Tao of destruction origin, greatly benefiting cultivation, Emperor Chu said. "Sector beast beyond Godly King level?" Luo Feng was curious. In the land of origin, only the sector beast from the Tianmu kingdom is at the ultimate realm of God King. Of course, the sector beast beyond a Godly King isn't from our source world. Emperor Chu didn't hide it from Luo Feng. "I once asked the ancestor about this, and he told me the story. It comes from another source world, an incredibly powerful catastrophe beast that had broken the limits of fate and cultivated beyond the level of God King. After leaving its source world, cultivation wasn't easy, so it used its own heart and some materials to craft the 5-colored treasure medicine. The ancestor bought some and left it in the imperial clan," Emperor Chu said. "For that sector beast, using its heart for alchemy, it could cultivate it back with some time." Luo Feng was astonished. The sector beast crafted the 5-colored treasure medicine itself? How difficult is it to kill a sector beast beyond the Godly King level and still preserve the entire corpse? The huge price one pays, and even if the treasures were created, would it be your turn? Emperor Chu smiled. It was that very sector beast that crafted it itself, and in large quantities too, selling them to the ancestors. That's why the prices are relatively low, and you can afford it. Luo Feng nodded. That sector beast had it tough. It broke the limits of fate, becoming beyond a god king, yet it still had to use its own body for alchemy. The body of a sector beast is very special, fitting extremely well with the great Tao of destruction origin. The more powerful the sector beast, the more valuable its bodily material, Emperor Chu said. That sector beast beyond the godly king, its heart, blood, and bones, everything could be turned into treasures aiding cultivation. Actually, the 5-colored treasure medicine is just the most well-known treasure aiding the great Tao of destruction origin, Emperor Chu said. There are even better aiding treasures that I once used. Better ones? Luo Feng's heart stirred. Boundary Beast Blood Talisman, Emperor Chu said, also personally crafted by that pioneering sector beast beyond the godly king, using its own blood to make the command token. One token costs 1 billion merit points. Once used, it can temporarily condense a complete Great Tao of Destruction origin within one's body. One token lasts about 3 epochs. Luo Feng was startled. You prepare 1 billion merit points worth of treasures, and I will buy you one, Emperor Chu grinned. My cultivation is of the Great Tao of Destruction origin, so I still have the qualifications to exchange for one more. Okay, Luo Feng nodded repeatedly. As your mentor, I know, this is the best treasure aiding the Great Tao of Destruction origin, Emperor Chu said. Want better? You'll probably have to find the ancestor. That's already great, Luo Feng was excited. Before this, he didn't know about the Boundary Beast Blood Talisman. People say I'm not good at teaching disciples. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. I'm aware of my limitations, indeed not skilled at instructing disciples. Luo Feng, you transcended the primal chaos realm and are absolutely the first in the first realm of godly king, not because of my teachings, but because your own talent is high enough. As your mentor, the most I can do is to help you as much as possible with resources, Emperor Chu said. Of course, you still need to provide the treasure yourself. Your mentor here is quite poor too. Luo Feng laughed. The Great Tao of Destruction origin, you need these treasures. What about the Great Tao of Life origin, the origin Tao of matter? Emperor Chu asked. What treasures do you need? Can I help with anything? Luo Feng was moved. Because he could always directly confront the complete Great Tao of Life origin, on this path, Luo Feng had indeed walked much further than the Great Tao of Destruction origin, having already started experimenting with integrating branches of the Tao. Master, I also need materials from the 24 forms, Luo Feng said. Not much, just a little flesh and scales. Is there a way to purchase them? 24 forms? Emperor Chu frowned slightly. 24 forms is one of the many forms presented after reaching the ultimate realm of the life origin Great Tao. This particular form is quite special. Luo Feng listened. Beings with primordial bloodline lifebred within the land of origin have very powerful life forms, Emperor Chu said. Though their intelligence is low, those of primal chaos realm levels of primordial bloodline life, even the ones with the thinnest bloodline, could manifest 10-direction world life form. Luo Feng nodded, having collected some materials while he garrisoned Xiangjie City. As for those with richer bloodlines, those at the first realm of godly king level of primordial bloodline creatures, I haven't heard of any with the 24 forms, Emperor Chu said. At the second realm level, it's extremely rare. At the ultimate realm of god king level of primordial bloodline creatures, the life forms are extremely powerful, many go beyond the 24 forms. As for those beyond god king, they are true primordial life forms, existences that have escaped the braided cage, Emperor Chu said. Luo Feng nodded. Primordial bloodline creatures generally have the characteristics of extremely high life essence, low intelligence, low realm, thus they can only unleash very little of their body's potential. Like true primordial life forms beyond God King, they clearly are beings that have escaped the braided cage. But the strength they can demonstrate might not necessarily be comparable with the ancestors of two ancient countries. Ultimate realm of God King level primordial bloodline creatures are strictly guarded by the two ancient countries, absolutely not disclosed. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng, because extracting their bloodline makes becoming an emperor or monarch much easier. Unless you have treasures that even the ancestors fancy, allowing the ancestors to make an exception for you, Emperor Chu said, these emperors and monarchs, have no rights to give them to you, not even a drop of blood. Luo Feng understood. Primordial bloodline creatures at the second realm of Godly King, theoretically, are the best primordial bloodlines a guest elder could obtain, Emperor Chu said, but the threshold is extremely high. I only need a small amount of material, Luo Feng said. I will find a way to see what cost it takes to get some materials, Emperor Chu said, but I advise you to start with Thunder Ancient Country. In cultivating primordial bloodline creatures, Thunder Ancient Country is more skilled than our Flame Wind Ancient Country, and they have more in number, making it easier to obtain. Luo Feng nodded. Master, How much do you estimate it would cost to buy some materials for the 24 forms life form? This life form with the primordial bloodline is extremely valuable, a single portion of a refined complete bloodline. For a Kuching God-King exchange in the flame-wind ancient country, it requires 1 billion merit points, Emperor Chu said. As for a small amount of materials, they generally don't sell in small quantities. Even Thunder ancient country would not sell them in pieces. Luo Feng said, I do not need to refine a complete bloodline, what I need is to comprehend the life form. A partial corpse would be enough for me, is that possible? A complete corpse can be refined into 3 to 5 portions of complete bloodlines, depending on the refining capability, Emperor Chu said. If you do not need to refine, they can directly sell you 1/3 of a corpse, saving the cost of refining as well. Luo Feng understood. 1/3 of a corpse of a primordial bloodline creature with the 24 forms life form costs 1 billion merit points. For beings like the Emperor of Tian Kuan and the Master of the Shi Kingdom, amassing treasures to gather 1 billion merit points is also extremely difficult. Because with each adventure, it's uncertain when one might fail, and if the true body dies, there would be a considerable loss. 1 billion merit points is too high. It's the highest exchange level for a Kuching God-King, Emperor Chu said. In Thunder ancient country, you only need 600 million merit points, which is much cheaper. I understand, Luo Feng nodded and smiled. It's all very far from me, I can't afford them for now. These materials were very important to Luo Feng. Without these materials, Luo Feng could only construct the 24 forms life form with divine power, and the power would be much less. But if he got the materials and peered into their essence, changing into them with the formless and intangible, he himself could have the physical body of a God-King second realm primordial bloodline creature. Those primordial bloodline creatures did not utilize their physical potential fully. In Luo Feng's hands, who clearly comprehended the essence of physical life forms, he could naturally unleash their full potential. Even if his physical body's strength was slightly inferior to an ultimate realm life form, the difference would not be much. I haven't even comprehended the first of my 24 forms yet, so there's no hurry. Luo Feng also had patience. The essence must be clearly comprehended to transform with formless and intangible. Moreover, formless and intangible had one limitation. When Luo Feng became a godly king and his body merged with the supreme rules, he realized that formless and intangible could only transform matter born within the source world. If it went beyond the range of the supreme rules, formless and intangible could not change. And these primordial bloodline creatures were indeed native creatures of the land of origin, bred and cultivated from true primordial life bloodlines by the two ancient countries through successive dilutions over generations. Here are 2 vials of 5-colored treasure medicine, take good care of them. Suddenly, Emperor Chu stretched out his hand, and 2 black bottles appeared with swirling liquid within. Treasures worth 20 million merit points, I haven't even prepared. Luo Feng was surprised at his master's swift action. Whenever you are ready, just give them to me, Emperor Chu said indifferently. Luo Feng immediately took them. With your many avatars, a reminder, Emperor Chu said, the 5-colored treasure medicine must be consumed by your true body. If a weak avatar takes it, then the effects of the medicine will only influence that weak avatar. I understand, Luo Feng nodded. You've been a godly king for so long now, haven't you claimed the extermination of 72 blades and 8 tribulations life form God King second realm inheritance? Emperor Chu asked, because this was his promised gift to Luo Feng. Once Luo Feng claimed it, the merit points would be automatically deducted from Emperor Chu. Emperor Chu naturally knew that Luo Feng had not yet claimed the inheritance. I know you went to infinite space, because in the infinite space treasure vault, you saw better special grade inheritances and even perfect inheritances, so you were not in a hurry for extermination of 72 blades and 8 tribulations life form. Emperor Chu shook his head, but an inheritance isn't necessarily better because it's higher class. The higher class ones are harder to cultivate. More importantly, the higher the class of the inheritance, the more reward points they cost in the infinite space treasure vault. To exchange for a first realm special grade inheritance as a godly king is possible, but the second realm section would be around 3,000 reward points, and the ultimate realm would require about 60,000 reward point. It's very difficult to earn reward points in the infinite space, Even if you open up a new great Tao that reaches the first realm of Godly King, you are only rewarded with 10,000 reward point. Emperor Chu said with emotion. The ultimate realm section of a special grade inheritance can be seen, but how many can afford to exchange for it? Luo Feng immediately understood a lot of information. Opening a branch of the Great Tao, 10,000 reward points. As an identity with the primal chaos realm and spiritual will reaching the ultimate realm of Godly King, he, too, had received 10,000 reward points. But just to exchange for an ultimate realm section of a special grade inheritance needs about 60,000 reward points. Upper class inheritance is more accessible to obtain, Emperor Chu said. At least it's a clear path to the ultimate realm. Disciple understands, I will go claim the 2 inheritances right away, Luo Feng responded. That day, Luo Feng first went to the inheritance palace to claim the extermination of 72 blades and 8 tribulations life form God King second realm sections, and also delivered treasures worth 20 million merit points to his master. Emperor Chu immediately recognized that these treasures came from the dream domain, and he smiled without saying anything. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In the quiet room of the city owner's mansion in Huyang City. Inside the Star Tower. 5-colored treasure medicine. Luo Feng's perfect divine body true body looked at the black bottle in front of him. His perfect divine body had long since recovered to its full state, and he was prepared to consume the treasure medicine with the perfect divine body. Come, let's see just how powerful this treasure medicine made from the heart of a sector beast above Godly King level is. Luo Feng pulled the cork, pouring it directly into his mouth. Swoosh. When the liquid swirled out from the black bottle, it radiated 5-color radiance and even faintly revealed the phantom of a sector beast, a figure that had a 70% resemblance to Morosa's true body. The treasure medicine liquid all entered his throat. Chem. As soon as it entered his throat, Luo Feng's face changed. Boom, boom, boom tilde tilde tilde. As if a vast universe had exploded within him, an endless and terrifying might instantly swept through his body and even merged into his soul. This. Luo Feng was immensely shaken. On his path of cultivation, he seldom relied on external substances, and he had never used anything at the level of the 5-colored treasure medicine. At this moment, Luo Feng understood. This 5-colored treasure medicine had been well worth the purchase. I made the right choice. This treasure medicine was the right purchase. I am different now. Luo Feng could clearly feel a mysterious network of veins appearing inside his perfect divine body. This network seemed to be a new framework, transforming his perfect divine body. While his strength and speed had only increased by about 50 to 60%, it was still far from the effects experienced by a world life form. However, now that this new layer of veins was present within his perfect divine body, Luo Feng felt as if he himself had changed. Boom tilde tilde tilde. With a gentle wave of his hand, countless law secret patterns emerged, and the essence of the great Tao of destruction origin flowed naturally with his movements. This world is too filthy, and the source world too weary, it needs a thorough cleansing. At this moment, Luo Feng could even sense an instinctual desire. A desire to cleanse the source world thoroughly. There were so many weak life forms. The greater their number, the less opportunity these weaker beings had to grow. By significantly reducing their numbers, weak life forms would have access to more abundant resources and nourishment from heaven and earth, becoming more elite and outstanding. Chem. What am I thinking? Luo Feng's spiritual will was ultimately strong, and he immediately sensed something was amiss. My soul has also been affected by the power of the 5-colored treasure medicine. Luo Feng noticed a mysterious rune structure within his soul, maintained by the power of the 5-colored treasure medicine. This made Luo Feng's soul perfectly align with the great Tao of destruction origin, so that every motion naturally manipulated the mysteries of destruction. From my physical body to my soul, everything has become perfectly aligned with the great Tao of destruction origin, even giving me the instinct to cleanse the world. However, as long as the will is strong enough, these instincts can still be suppressed, Luo Feng thought. At this moment, Luo Feng also understood why sector beasts caused calamities and even destroyed all living beings. Sector beasts were born from the great Tao of destruction origin. Compared to Luo Feng's current state, they were much more in harmony, for they had long since had cleansing the world ingrained in their souls. Only through soul enslavement could the instincts of sector beasts be suppressed. I'm now in a weakened state akin to a sector beast. Luo Feng stopped pondering and started to focus on cultivation. Because he could feel that both the vein network within his physical body and the rune structure within his soul were maintained by the power of the five-colored treasure medicine. Once it ended, this state would also come to an end. Luo Feng first contemplated the secret techniques in the special grade inheritance chaotic whole beast body, of which he had already deduced 3 strikes. The first strike took the longest time to understand, and because of it, Luo Feng had comprehended all 6 branches of the path of destruction. The second and third strikes came much quicker. Isn't it quite simple? With the foundation of the first 3 strikes, Luo Feng gave it some thought, and the 4th, 5th, and 6th strikes were all deduced in a moment, without any obstacles. My past understanding of the great Tao of destruction origin was too naive. Destruction is not just destruction, it is also a form of cleansing, a rebirth. Luo Feng's perspective on the great Tao of destruction origin had changed, and with this shift in perspective, the difficulty of comprehension instantly decreased. Cleansing the world, clearing all things. Just annihilate these impurities. Then I should try to deduce the strongest secret technique world unification that can be understood at the first realm of Godly King, as recorded in the special grade inheritance chaotic whole beast body. Luo Feng immediately decided. For the great Tao of life origin, Luo Feng had always been contemplating the 24 forms. For the great Tao of destruction origin, Luo Feng decided to deduce world unification. World unification. Luo Feng immersed himself in study, and a flood of insights surged forth. Luo Feng soon encountered various obstacles, but his current state was exceptional, and he kept breaking through the hurdles. The world unification secret method requires first establishing a foundation, then defining the 6 paths afterwards. With the perfect coordination of the 6 paths, everything can be brought to unity. Luo Feng wrestled with the complex secret technique, gradually grasping the essence of the entire method. Once he understood the essence, Luo Feng addressed the problems one by one and began to forge the foundation. Time passed, and Luo Feng quietly cultured himself, disengaging from the conflicts of the land of origin, cherishing each day sustained by the 5-colored treasure medicine. Before long, 3 eons had passed. Inside the Star Tower. The power of the 5-colored treasure medicine finally ran out, and the network within Luo Feng's perfect divine body and the rune structure in his soul collapsed in an instant. Luo Feng immediately felt a sharp estrangement from the great Tao of destruction origin, as the sense of being one with it was lost. Gone. Luo Feng was somewhat lost and disappointed. Having grown accustomed to the favor of the great Tao, returning to his previous level of perception was naturally uncomfortable. In these 3 eons, my comprehension of the great Tao of destruction origin has truly undergone a complete transformation. Luo Feng reflected on the gains of those 3 eons, realizing the tremendous strides he had made. This video will end here.